At 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in February, a 110-pound Doberman pressed his nose against the right side of his owner's head and refused to move for 14 minutes straight. 3 weeks earlier, doctors had cleared her. The MRI showed nothing. Everyone laughed when she said her dog knew something they didn't. They stopped laughing 9 days later. Hannah Reeves was 36 years old and tired of explaining herself, tired of explaining why a freelance editor living alone in a small town outside Burlington, Vermont, needed a 110-pound service dog, tired of explaining the panic attacks that had started after her mother died of pancreatic cancer in 2022, tired of the looks she got at the grocery store, the coffee shop, the post office, tired of the comments. Her older sister was the worst. "You don't need a service dog, Han, you need a therapist. You're being dramatic." Her father, who hadn't spoken much since the funeral, just shook his head when she came home with the dog. "That thing is going to eat the house." Her best friend laughed when she sent the photo from the trainer's facility. A 110-pound Doberman? "Hannah, you're 5'4". He's bigger than you. People are going to cross the street." Hannah stopped explaining. She just lived with it. The dog's name was Cooper. He was a chocolate Doberman with a copper undercoat, a small scar above his right eye from a fight he'd been in before he was rescued, and ears that were left natural, soft and folded, not cropped. He wore a red service dog harness with the words "Service Dog, Do Not Pet" stitched on both sides. He had been trained for 14 months at a facility in upstate New York that specialized in psychiatric service dogs, anxiety alert, pressure therapy, interrupting panic spirals. Hannah had paid $8,400 for him, plus the cost of 2 trips to New York, plus the certification process. Her sister called it expensive nonsense. Her father called it throwing money away. Cooper was perfect. He was also weird in very specific ways. He would only eat his meals if Hannah was sitting at the kitchen table, not in the room, at the table. If she stood up halfway through, he would stop eating, walk to her, and sit until she sat back down. Only then would he return to the bowl. He had a routine for the morning. Every single day at 6:42 a.m., he would walk to Hannah's bedside, lower his enormous head, and breathe directly onto her left ear for exactly 4 breaths. Then he would step back, walk to the bedroom door, and wait. The trainer called this his wake-up handshake. Hannah called it his good morning. He hated the kitchen rug. He would not step on it under any circumstance. He would walk all the way around the kitchen island to avoid 3 feet of rug. Hannah eventually rolled it up and put it in the closet. Cooper celebrated by sleeping diagonally across the kitchen floor for 4 hours. He drooled on her left foot during dinner. Only the left, always the left. Hannah kept a small towel under the table for it. She had stopped questioning this 3 months in. He carried her phone. If Hannah set it down on the counter and walked into another room, Cooper would gently pick it up in his mouth and follow her, dropping it beside her foot wherever she ended up. He had never once damaged the screen. The trainer had called this object retrieval. Hannah called it the mailman service. 110 pounds of Doberman. Certified, trained, expensive, embarrassing, and the most reliable presence in her life since her mother had died. Then, in early February, something changed. Cooper started doing something new, something the trainer hadn't taught him. It started on a Wednesday morning. Hannah was making coffee when Cooper walked over, sat directly in front of her, and pressed his nose against the right side of her head, just above the temple. He didn't bark, he didn't whine, he just held it there for 11 seconds. Then he stepped back, looked at her, and walked away. Hannah laughed. Weirdo. 2 days later, he did it again. Same spot, same right temple, same silent press. This time for 18 seconds. By the end of the week, Cooper was doing it 6 times a day. He would interrupt phone calls to do it. He would stop eating to do it. He would wake up from a nap, walk over to her, press his nose to her right temple, hold it for 20 seconds, and then resume his nap. Hannah called the trainer in New York. "He's not trained for medical alert," the trainer said. "He's a psychiatric service dog." That said, Dobermans are scent-driven. They alert on what they're alerting on. If he's doing it consistently in the same spot multiple times a day, Hannah, please get checked. Hannah called her primary care doctor. Headaches? A few, mild ones, nothing crazy. Vision changes? Sometimes my left eye feels weird, like a pressure. How often? I don't know, once a week maybe? The doctor ordered an MRI. 3 weeks later, the results came back. Clean. No lesions, no abnormalities, no concerns. The radiologist had written unremarkable scan in the notes. Hannah felt the relief flood through her. She drove home, walked into the kitchen, and told Cooper that everything was fine. Cooper looked at her, then he walked over and pressed his nose against her right temple for 22 seconds. Hannah's sister called that night. "See, I told you, you're being dramatic. The dog is just being a dog." Hannah didn't argue. She was tired of arguing. Still here but not subscribed yet? That honestly stings a little. Hit subscribe. What comes next is the part nobody saw coming. But Cooper didn't stop. If anything, he got worse. He started refusing to let her leave the house some mornings. He would lie down across the front door, 110 pounds of chocolate Doberman, blocking her exit, and stare at her until she sat back down. He started growling, softly but clearly, when she tried to drive. Not at her, at the car, at the keys. He had never growled at anything before that week, not once in 14 months. The trainer called this alert escalation. She told Hannah to find a neurologist who would do a contrast MRI, not a regular one, a contrast. Hannah's primary care doctor refused at first. The first scan was clean. Insurance won't cover a second one. There's nothing to find. Hannah pushed. Her doctor pushed back. Hannah's father, of all people, called the doctor's office and demanded the referral. He had watched his wife die because doctors had told her she was fine for 8 months before the pancreatic cancer was found. He wasn't going to lose Hannah the same way. The contrast MRI was scheduled for February 14th, Valentine's Day. Hannah found that detail darkly funny. The neurologist called her at 6:47 a.m. the next Tuesday, before she had even gotten out of bed. Cooper was already pressing his nose to her right temple when the phone rang. He held it there for 14 minutes while the neurologist talked. A 4-millimeter meningioma, right frontal lobe, right above the temple. Hannah didn't say anything for a long moment. She just sat in her bed, the phone pressed against her ear, her right hand resting on the top of Cooper's head, while he kept his nose against the exact spot the neurologist was describing. She could feel his breath on her skin, slow, steady, certain. The first MRI had missed it because it was too small and the contrast hadn't been used. The second scan had caught it because Hannah's father had refused to let go. The neurologist, a man named Dr. Patel, asked Hannah how she had known to push for the contrast scan. He said most patients accepted the first clean result and went home. Hannah looked down at the 110 pounds of chocolate Doberman pressed against her bed, his nose still pointed at her right temple, his copper eyes calm and certain. "My dog knew," Hannah said. The neurologist was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I've been a neurologist for 22 years, and I've heard this story 4 times. Don't ever doubt that dog." The surgery happened 6 weeks later. The tumor was benign, a meningioma, but it was growing. If they had waited 12 more months, Dr. Patel said, it would have started pressing on her optic nerve, maybe blindness, maybe seizures. Hannah's sister came to the hospital. She didn't say sorry, that wasn't her style, but she sat next to Cooper in the waiting room and put her hand on his head and didn't move it for 3 hours. Hannah's best friend, the one who had laughed at the photo, sent flowers. She wrote a card that said, "I owe you and Cooper an apology. I'm sorry." Hannah's father came alone. He sat in the hospital room beside her bed and looked at the 110 pounds of Doberman lying flat on the floor beside her. Then he reached down and put his hand on Cooper's shoulder. He didn't say anything. He just kept it there. Today, Hannah is 37. She has a small white scar on the right side of her scalp, hidden by her hair. Cooper is 5. He still breathes onto her left ear for 4 breaths every morning at 6:42 a.m. He still won't step on rugs. He still drools on her left foot during dinner. He no longer presses his nose to her right temple. He hasn't done it since the surgery, not once. Dr. Patel keeps a photograph of Cooper on his office wall. He shows it to every patient who tells him their dog has been acting strange and asks if maybe they should come in for a scan. He always says yes. Some dogs aren't dramatic. Some dogs aren't dumb animals reading body language. Some dogs are smelling something the most expensive machines on earth can miss, and they will keep insisting, quietly, every single day, until you finally listen. Cooper didn't catch what the MRI missed because he was lucky. He caught it because nobody at that facility, no doctor, no machine, no skeptical sister, no laughing best friend, could do what 110 pounds of Doberman with a working nose can do. If your dog ever starts behaving in a new and very specific way, pay attention. Don't laugh. Don't dismiss it. Some dogs are the alarm clock. Some dogs are the alarm. Have you ever had a dog warn you about something nobody else believed? Tell me in the comments.